He chose poorly. Hi there, Chris the Geek Figure Fan here. And today we're back with another Indiana Jones Adventure Series in-hand review. And this one is my first Last Crusade figure. This is the retail exclusive Walter Donovan. And he's dressed as he was at the end of the Last Crusade when everybody arrives at the Grail Temple in the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. And let's start by taking a quick look at the box before we get him out and get him into some poses and have a proper look at what this figure looks like. Usual spiel here, 3D photorealistic renderings on the front and back of the box. You've got artist renderings on one side, reminiscent of the original trilogy posters. And I love, actually, on this left-hand side, that you can see Walter before and after he's drunk the Grail. And on the other side are pictures of every figure from Wave 1, along with Walter Donovan. On the back is also a list of all accessories that come with the figure. So this is the second retail exclusive that I've reviewed. I took a look at Club Obi-Wan Indy first, and I do have 3 more figures to review. So coming up, I will be looking at Kazim, Professor Indy, and Matroom Indy. But for today, we're taking a look at one of the villains from The Last Crusade. So let's get him out of the box and get him in some poses. So I haven't taken any footage of articulation on this figure. The articulation is fairly standard across this entire range for any figures that don't have ceremonial gowns on. Standard flex at the knees, the ankles, the hips, the hands, the elbows, the shoulders, and the head. They move in exactly the same ways as all of the other figures do within this range. But I just want to start by talking about the dress that they've decided to go for. So there was a couple of different, in fact, there was probably 3 main designs they could have gone for. They could have gone for the tux at the beginning of the film. They could have gone for the grey suit at the castle, or gone for this more soldier-like grey suit attire that he wears at the end of the film. And I think this is the right choice, because I think this is probably his most iconic moment in the film. I think the whole suit works really well, and I especially like the tall black boots, along with, and the grey suit that contrasts with the black shirt and the grey tie. The grey really does evoke that kind of German soldier in the 40s look. And I think the clothing's really effective. The detail on the jacket's excellent. I'm really impressed by that. But I think when you look at it with the full grey, it can probably come across as being quite a boring figure if it's not something that you wanted. I imagine this won't be one of the best-selling retail exclusives, but in actual fact, I think it's a really cool figure. We'll change his pose now so you can have a look at a few more of the accessories. Yeah, I'm really impressed. I think the Grail tablet's great. I think the chalice is excellent. The chalice, I mean, it looks exactly like the chalice that he does pick up in the movie. They could have put any chalice in here really, but there's attention to detail there. The chalice itself is actually incredibly detailed. His pistol looks really good in hand. Really impressed by that. And I'm quite happy with the face sculpt as well. I've not their face sculpts have been hit and miss in this range. I'm sure you'll agree, especially in Wave 1, Indy and Marion look fantastic. Tote looks great. Salah and Belloc, nah, they're disappointing. But they've chosen wisely with this one. I do think that both face sculpts, and we will look at the second face sculpt, are really effective and do look like Julian Glover himself. I did meet Julian Glover a couple of weeks ago, actually, for the first time at a con, and he's just one of the nicest people to meet at one of those events. Really, really warm and welcoming person. So if anyone does get the opportunity to meet Julian Glover, I would absolutely do that. He was fantastic. He was just a warm and welcoming soul, and we had a nice conversation. So he does have time for his fans. So yeah, let's take a look at this last face mold. This is the moment, the horror moment from this movie, really. And we've got him probably midway through his transition here. And I think this is a fantastic looking mold, and you can put him in some great poses here. As you can see, you can have a lot of fun with that. Much like the tote figure, they've given you an alternate face so that you can pose their demise, and that's what you should do with this figure, because it's the better of the molds, I think. Absolutely go for that. So, I mean, I'm really impressed with this second face mold. Very zombie-esque, gory, creepy, I suppose, more than gory. But again, just a really well-made and effective mold. I think the paint application on this second face is really good as well, because you can see that the skin tones are completely different. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. Really impressed with the figure as a whole. And whilst because it's quite monotone, it might look like quite a boring figure on its own. I think when you pose this on a shelf with your other Adventure Series figs, it's going to look great. It's going to look really effective. And you've got to imagine that in the next wave or in the pipeline reveals, they were talking about Henry Jones and the Grail Knight and Elsa, and the picture they use of Elsa is Elsa when she's sort of out as a Nazi, then I think those figures all together, maybe with the Brody from the Belloc and Brody double pack, they'll all sit perfectly together and look really good as a set. So yeah, anyway, please let me know what you think. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed this, and please consider subscribing to my channel. I've been overwhelmed by the support over my first 2 months, but please continue subscribing because it makes a massive difference to me and to the algorithm. I can't express how much it helps. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a couple of other videos up on the end card as part of this range. So the other retail exclusive figure, the Club Obi-Wan Indies up there. So please, why don't you take a look at that one if you haven't yet already, and see what you think to that other retail exclusive. And I'm also putting up my wish list for what I think waves 3 to 5 might look like. So also take a look at that if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye bye.